RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 YouTube talk show. We are back at it again for a Thursday edition of the People's Talk Show. Excited to connect. Looking forward to find out what's on your radar. And as always, just one more revelation after the next in regards to the move away from the current petrodollar system and all the developments that will continue to make the airways, even though the West will do their best to try to distract and to, create as much noise as possible to keep people's eyes off of what's really happening. And ultimately, it appears to be, and it's nothing new, of course, but Russia looks to, I guess, check off another box in activating another nation towards a unified network, payment network, rather. So we're going to talk about that as well as a couple other subjects. But before I do so, I want to welcome any first-time viewers to the community. Welcome. Let me know where you're watching from via the chat. And then when the phone lines open up, 313-462-0027 is the number to call and let your voice be heard. And I want to make sure that I do my best to continue to remind people bit by bit, click the subscribe button as well as the bell notification, as you guys can see here, so that you'll be notified when we go live. I do get a chance to read the comments, and a lot of people saying that they're still not being notified. And so that's why I encourage people to make sure you plug into the Discord as well as the Telegram, so you'll always be up to date with what's happening. So let me check in real quick via the chat, and then we will jump into some headlines. And of course, running a little bit behind due to, my thoughts churning, and I had to put together some thoughts on in the form of visual aid. So I updated one. We'll dive further into it, but welcome to the community for those that are new. All right, let me check in real quick. We got Simon checking in. Says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. 100. MW checking in. We got Tim checking in as well. We got Jeff checking in. We got Cynthia checking in as well. What else we got here? We got Johnny from Palms Desert, California. We got Jay. We got Norman from North Carolina. We got Shaska. If I'm not saying that incorrectly. Hello from Moscow. How you doing, my friend? And if that's the case, it says 80, talking about the ruble in exchange for the dollar. So it looks like, 83 rubles for $1, I guess, as of today. And a week ago, it was 143 to a dollar. So definitely the Russian ruble, due to recent activity over there, it's getting a bid as far as it's strengthening in comparison to other assets or other currencies, rather. I wonder if that has anything to do with the newfound payment structure that is coming out of that region. So definitely curious to hear what's happening. Let me know what's happening in your neck of the woods. What are your thoughts? It's good to have fellow brothers and sisters from other nations. So Shashka, feel free to call in if you're able to, or just chime in with more insights as to what's happening in the ground in Russia in particular, because we would definitely love to get some fresh inside information. So appreciate you for joining us. All right, we got Will Smith from Houston, Gary checking in, Taylor Soul checking in as well. We got Clayton checking in from Philly. Appreciate you, man. So, all right, let me just jump right into it. Actually, because as always, I am scrambling last minute as, the thoughts churn, and I try to put together something in the form of a visual aid to just further highlight what I'm trying to get across. But I want to make sure I add to the mix some things to point back to, because as I always say, everything we're hearing, it's old news to the east, but new news to the west, and they try to spin it to the where it makes it look like, once again, they're making it seem as if, Russia's completely crumbling. I doubt that that's the case in entirety. So, but we'll touch on that. But let me just jump right in and share the visual aid that I put together. So here we go. Let me move this out the way and zoom in just a little bit here. So this right here symbolizes a lot all at once. I'm going to do my best to try to spin through it, but I think it tells a good story in and of itself. But yet we have a light switch to the far left. And so this is a reenactment of a prior visual aid I did a while ago, well before all this Russia stuff jumped off, talking about any moment, the BRICS in particular, somebody would cut on a switch and activate the next form of some payment structure. And it looks like we have that officially underway now, despite what we're hearing from the Western media talking about the Russian, the Putin price, the Putin pump price hike or something like that. We're going to touch on that in a minute. But anyway, real quick, we're going to go through this. And of course, I'll add more to it as the days unfold. But this is just, last minute. But here we got a light switch to the far left. And that light switch here, we have, basically two forces at work there. We have what looks like now a Russian-led for us at the very top. And so you see Putin standing in the middle, calling the shots. You see a gold bar behind him. And then all of a sudden, on a new side of things, you see over his right shoulder, you see the Russian ruble. And over his left shoulder, you see the Indian rupee. So that's a new check mark that I'm going to get to in a minute. But then again, it's a on switch. And beneath that, we have the petrodollar system, G7 nations, predominantly led by the United States of America primarily, or the Anglo-American deep state bankers or cabal, as I put it all in one context. But from the light switch, we have three primary or currents, rather. Currents is, we have two currents and one that's drawn, one is not activated or has been turned off. So I'll zoom in here. But as you guys can see here, we have two currents coming from the Russia side of things, basically activating what will appear to be alternative forms of payment. And of course, this has a lot to do with the digital structure that's underway and the interconnecting of the payment structures using the card services, as well as the interconnectivity of their banks through some type of blockchain network type of ordeal. But here we have the BRICS infrastructure, which as of right now, Russia has stepped to the forefront to lead the charge. And of course, Russia has jumped on with the current merger of the mirror and the chip payment structure. So I'll put a check mark above the Chinese blockchain merger technology collaboration between Russia and China. And then just as of right now, it's being announced, but it's old news in my opinion, because the infrastructure I think is already set up. But as you guys can see to the right here, beneath here, we have India. And I put a check mark on India because it's made mainstream news now as far as there being a current towards China of activity. And now what will soon be a current towards India officially put out there. And then underneath that, you guys see the petrodollar that's not doing too well right now. And so from the petrodollar side, we have an X over that, reflecting that there's no, as of right now, there's minimum or there's no current flowing of energy, rather, or need or usage of the petrodollar system. And then it's an X, as you see this red line going towards the light bulb, reflecting the idea of cutting on a light switch. And by cutting on the light, I'm referring to, of course, the use of currency swaps, as well as the use of the digital interoperability networks is formulating on that side. But yet, as you guys can see, there's an X going right through it, reflecting no current flowing. And it's not a part of this whole light structure because we have two primary currency or currents right here, electronic currents flowing into this blockchain based system / network payment system. And it leads to basically the thought of Russia is activating one nation at a time. And so we have China first. Now we have India. Then the next question is, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, which country is next? We have South Africa or we have Brazil before some announcement is made in reference to the collaboration of their payment structures moving forward. And where this is heading to is quite obvious. As you guys can see here, those 5 different payment structures. And of course, Russia's over here. And there's, dozens of other countries that are quietly on the friendly country list that would also be connected to this payment structure at some time. But as of right now, which country will be next? Because in my opinion, barring something happening between now and the time all 4 of those other nations are activated, there runs the risk of there being some type of event. And that event would be something that would, either sever those ties or try to backpedal on this progression towards some Eastern collaboration. And so that's just more things to pay attention to. And while I'm rambling real quick, for those that might be new to this whole idea here of, the payment network being activated, this stems from some other visual aids that I shared before, referring to some information that was put out there from alternative media space, just referring to how the interoperability of the systems primarily led by the BRICS payment structure. And this information is actually public knowledge according to the BRICS Business Council white papers that is out there if you look at them. But here we got the Rupee, we got the Mirror, which is the Russian system, we got Latin American Plus, we got the PASA, which is the African network, Union Pay, which is Chinese, and it's all connected through some type of router cloud system. And of course, you guys all want to probably talk about XRP, Stellar, and Hyperledger, all those other World Economic Forum, led corporations. But yet, this is just the interoperability of those systems that's underway. And it looks like Russia and India might be looking to collaborate a lot sooner than, we all thought. But as you guys can see here, it's just a matter of flicking on a switch, I'm sure. The infrastructure is already built out. And then this right here just goes back to what that looks like. Once all 5 are activated, then we're, really going to see some interesting fireworks. So this is just that little visual aid demonstration. And what is this all about? Let's just get to the nitty gritty. Let me make sure I got the right one here. So we have a article from Mint, a couple headlines here, roughly saying the same thing. But as of today, and of course, this is just one of many stories, but I pay attention to this just because this is, in reference to the rethinking the dollar or de-dollarization process. But it says, deeply disappointing, U.S. criticizes India on Russia talks as Lavrov visits New Delhi today. And so, of course, the West going to spend any way they can. But while, according to Western media, Russia is hurting and like unbelievable, their financial matters, their whatever, Biden is out there spilling. We got Lavrov traveling to other nations, basically helping activate those systems that they've been working on for quite some time now. And just more information here. I'll let you guys read through that. But just want to highlight some of the, things that are not going to be really touched on much. And then here's another one here. Let me scroll down here. It says, how can the Rupee-Ruble payment scheme work? How it will help India know all about it. So here's more information here in that video. And then the very last headline here I'll touch on. It says, India, Russia explore a ruble payment scheme to, as it says here, and this is from the West, to bypass war. So, of course, there has to be a valid reason as to why they're doing this, other than the fact that the world's moving away from the petrodollar system. But yet, what better excuse, what better way to shove or distract people from the main, reason by throwing into the bypass war side of things. But, of course, war and the geopolitical conflict in that region between Ukraine and Russia is just a cover-up that I'm more than confident that the West is in on. So this is all a part of a bigger plan. And it has a lot to do with the agenda. As I always talk about how more people now are coming out talking about the New World Order. And when you have Russia and China talking about their democratic multipolar New World Order, it's like, but still, it's a New World Order, and it has nothing to do with giving us more freedom. It's heading towards a digitization of our entire lives, even more so. So how new is that? Not sure. Anyway. Okay. And also I have a video I want to share. Pulling it as we speak, and then I will play it and we can touch on it after the fact. So here is the video. Check this out.
It may be a bit late for that. I remember talking to an Australian diplomat at one point about this break between the US and China, and said, both sides are going to say, whose team are you on? And he said, our job is to make sure the question never arises. But the question has arisen. And so I think we have to go deeper. And it's not about the US versus China. It's about what underpins a world order is always the financial system. I was very privileged. My father was an advisor to Nixon when they came off the gold standard in '71. And so I was brought up with a kind of inside view of how very important the financial structure is to absolutely everything else. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human rights if we're going to have digital money. But also, this new money will be sovereign in nature. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private. But what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well. And the question is, will that new system of digital money and digital accounting accommodate the competing needs of the citizens of all these locations so that every human being has a chance to have a better life? Because that's the only measure of whether a world order really serves.
Whew, there you have it. That's the only way, the world order financial system is dependent upon a new world order that's in collaboration. And of course, digital blockchain is the way towards that. And they're talking about a digital constitution, digital. So believe me, that lady would not be on stage talking about how excited she is to head into this blockchain based future had there not be the advent and the excitement and enticement of people being lured into thinking that this is going to be some type of way to save them from the digital enslavement that was already planned. So I thought I would just bring that to your attention because a lot of buzzwords were said in there, but I'll let you chew on that just so you know that behind all this decentralized talk, behind all this, certain projects are paving the way for all this digital freedom. Believe me, there's a plan for that as well. And so let me just jump on. So let me add this real quick. This is the World Government Summit that's taking place. It just finished up 2 days ago. And more than likely, if you were not looking for this type of information, you knew nothing about this gathering of what would be considered world oligarchs, as well as representatives from a variety of countries in the Middle East to talk about how the world governments will use blockchain to further enslave humanity. And it goes well beyond just currency. That's just a primary tool that they'll use. But the interconnectivity of it to our health, our everyday life, and every aspect of from the moment we wake up to the time we go to bed, well beyond what it is now. And so I just wanted to bring that to your forefront, just so people can realize that, while you're cheering for your certain crypto project, remind you, most of them that are designed to succeed in this transition, they're in bed with these same individuals. So, if you're a stakeholder towards your own demise, hey, it's part of the equation. Some people do it, some people don't, but to each his own. But here, just I'll thumb through this real quick. It says World Government Summit 2022 to feature 15 global forums to tackle future challenges. What do you think those future challenges are? I imagine they have a lot to do with how to maintain control and further, siphon off our freedoms and our liberties. And it talks about she talked about a digital constitution. Imagine that, a digital constitution, because if everything is interoperable and connected in real time all the time, I'd imagine there's going to be the need to do away with our current constitutions that is null and void now anyway, because they don't really pay much attention to it. But for whatever it was worth, this new one is coming. And I always say once the court, even Trump mentioned about, packing the courts. They're going to pack the courts. Once they pack the courts, meaning add 1 or 2 or 3 more people on there, this extremely left, liberal, young global leader, allegiance pledging people, they're going to find a way to disassemble any type of documentation from yesteryears that talks about we the people having inalienable rights from God. And they're going to throw something else at us in the form of we need to come together on a digital global agreement on how to use technology to further help people and include people and all those words. That is the world order that they have in play, going from the analog world into the digital world and making that the primary focal point of all of our lives. So, yeah, it's just what it is. But I will probably dive in more of this. I literally just grabbed this off the surface because that video sparked my interest. But beyond that, we can just talk about this and I'll open the phone lines. So it looks like Brandon, pretender and thief, wants to basically open up reserves of our country and deplete it to its entirety while talking about encouraging and incentivizing companies to use land that's been dormant in order to make it fruitful, or they'll have to pay the price for it. And if you're a company that's just making revenue to pay your bills, pay your shareholders, then you need to lessen that and do more for the human rights, because it's patriotic and it's your American duty to help America in this type of environment. And I can go on and on and on, but you guys know where this is heading. But, he did say, I am a capitalist. That's what he said. Yeah. And that's been completely, anyway. So let me talk here. So Biden lists 4 ways he plans to respond rising gas prices because of, get this, Putin's price hike. Why not point the blame on the arch enemy of humanity, Putin? I guess that fits very well. Okay. Let me just thumb through this real quick and I'll start ranting, open the phone lines. As always, for those tuning in, definitely show you some love, hit the thumbs up button, and just be a blessing to the community if you don't mind. Let me see if I can grab some of those facts here, because I just caught the headline. I didn't go through it, but I pretty much summarized, the 4 ways he's planning on doing it. But just listen to him. because of Putin's war of choice, less oil is getting to America, to the market, and the reduction in supply is raising prices of at pumps for the Americans. President Biden is committed to doing everything in his power to help American families who are paying more out of their pocket. Right. So gas prices were almost doubled since his administration was brought into be. But yet, how convenient is it to blame Russia? It says, however, after Ukraine launches invasion on Ukraine, they have soared to over $4.20. How about you open up what we already have? Open up some pipelines and, just do some things that you deliberately undid. Anyway, I can go on and on and on. I'm not going to waste my time. But anyway, you guys see what's going on. So once he opens up the reserves for our country, talk about draining at least 1/3 of it or taking it down to 1/3, it'll never be replaced, basically, is what I'm getting to. And so my personal opinion, open up our emergency reserves for our own energy will probably last for a very short stint in regards to what Putin is able to do with it appears that what's happening out east with the use of the ruble now and other payment networks as ways of paying for energy, I'd imagine Russia can outlast from an energy standpoint a lot further than we could here off our reserves. So give it 12 months. Don't know how long those reserves may last. It might bring the pumps down, 50 cents, 30 cents, or something like that. But when it runs out, and the agenda of going green with the Build America Back Better plan and going, eliminating all carbon footprints, they'll have no incentive to replenish our reserves. Therefore, our country will literally go through a crisis at that time, even more so. And imagine what the excuse is going to be at that time. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a deliberate way of depleting our resources in the form of energy so that they can escalate this thing to the next level, just until they completely drain and destroy this entire country. That's the only way I can see this going. But this is a part of the plan. You'll own nothing, because if you can't power your car, if you can't light your house and do everything for your house, then you won't really own anything. Makes sense, don't it? Okay, enough of me ranting. Let's talk. Feel free. Open up the phone lines. Let me get some things here. So as always, I want to make sure I continue to remind people, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button as well as hit the notification bell so that you will be plugged in and you can join the community and share your 2 cents. Once again, it's the People's Talk Show. Not much of a show if you ain't got nobody to talk to. So let's have it. Give me a call, 313-462-0027, and I'll jump on that question if I can. Dog Will Hunt says Biden released 9 days of oil. This will only weaken the U.S. Okay, so if that strategic reserves is only good for 9 days, if I'm not, if I'm reading that correctly, then yeah, that's even more trouble, even faster. Christopher says you already own nothing. Figuratively speaking, I can see where you're going with that, but once again, and this goes into the spiritual essence of things. You really don't want to own anything overall. I just want to have access to it. So having a roof over my head, car, whatever, I really don't own those things. I know. And that's where the spiritual essence of things come into play, because if the Lord owns the earth and everything in it, therefore I'm just using his resources. So it's okay. If he pulls something from me, if he add to me, I'd rather go that route than solely being dependent upon myself, because I can't cut it. I just know I can't cut it, especially in an environment that's coming. I'm going to need access to the kingdom. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Mike, Tony from Oakland. One more again. How you doing?
Doing good, man. What's your mind? Give me a quick thought.
With the strategic oil reserve, it only opens up we use so much oil that it only opens up that strategic for 9 days, close to 9 days.
Okay.
But Biden isn't doing it for us. He's putting that oil on the market in Europe. We'll receive no benefits for that.
Oh, hell. Okay, that's even worse.
Yeah, it's even worse because we don't control our oil. Shell and Chevron and all those guys control the oil.
Yeah,
they put it in reserve. He can pull out the reserve, but he can't say who pumps what and how much goes to the U.S., how much goes. No, that's independent.
Yeah,
that's what Venezuela's people have the right to their oil. We don't have the right to our oil.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that right there definitely puts us in a much more dire situation than I was, highlighting it as. So appreciate you for asking some clarification to that for me.
The other thing is with I've got a friend who visited Saudi Arabia, and they came back to me and told me that gas was 0.43 per liter, and now it's 2.18. But they also said they went to an international price. So what that tells me is that Russia and them is a non-OPEC nation. They call them the OPEC Plus.
Right.
And there's a difference between OPEC Plus and OPEC.
Okay.
So Russia is part of the OPEC Plus. Sounds like the OPEC Plus is taken over from OPEC. Biden has 9,000 contracts. He said it today, and I'm not exactly sure, but they have land patents for like 9,000 oil wells just waiting to be drilled. And if you could just drill those oil wells, we'd have the oil. You know why they don't drill those oil wells?
Why not?
Because every time they drill, they lose money.
Okay.
We are losing. We started out so high. We were so high on the food chain when we were pumping the oil. Yeah, we were number one in exporting, but we consume half of what we export.
Yeah.
So now we're to the point where we stopped all that because everybody went bankrupt. The shale industry went bankrupt. Of course, the shale industry is junk anyway.
Right.
But they went bankrupt. And now it's to the point where they were just giving away contracts. You just pump them, just keep pumping the oil. And people are like, I'm losing money every time I put a rig down in the ground. I'm getting less and less money. And the people that were backing them, the banks that was backing them, is no longer backing them.
Right.
That's why those contracts are sit in there.
Yeah, and then you factor in that new BlackRock, Larry Fink, ESG. We're not gonna fund you unless it's clean. We're not gonna allow you to, borrow no more from us. We're gonna shut you down. Type of talk. Yeah.
Well, the attitude that we need to take as far as the ESG, go ahead, try it. Good luck with that. Good luck in trying to plug in your Tesla with a 120 volt plug. How are these steamships? How are these ships that are coming from China going to get over to the United States when they use diesel?
Right. Hey,
good luck with it.
Good point,
That's
man.
the attitude we need to take.
Hey, appreciate you, man, as always, for bringing some more light to the conversation, man.
All right, take care.
Be good.
Bye.
Yeah, good points. All good points Mr. TB made, man. So yeah, that's some real news out there, people. Amina says, please check out the Belton Road. Brendan O'Connell has the details. Amina, I will definitely do that. Let me appreciate the love offering as well. Let me Brandon O'Connell. Let me pull it up, Mr. Brendan, rather. I'm sorry, Brendan O'Connell. Belt. Let me see, Belt and Road, and see what pops up real quick. And definitely I'll do some more diving down some rabbit holes. Brendan O'Connell is about China. Let me see here. So I'll grab, let me see here. So it looks like Mr. O'Connell has a YouTube channel, so I'll check him out. But I appreciate you for bringing that to our attention, and I will jump on that. Let me see here. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, let me get some more calls. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Like Steve, Region
Steve, how you doing, my friend?
Good. Hey, the first thing I want to say is ATV. If you haven't done so, get out to that flea market down there and grab all your family stuff that needs to be gotten there for you, bro. Hey, the second thing is, I sent you 2 videos there.
Okay.
In your queue there.
All right. Economic Ninja.
Yeah. That one, and that one talks about there's a train thing going on. It's like a 5 or 7 minute video. But there's a train situation going on where it has to do with corn or grains being shipped via train that aren't getting out fast enough, and it's backing up the system that's not even being talked about, versus trucks and everything else. So that's a pretty good video.
Okay,
so you can see how that's going to create problems. So if you can drop that into the queue. And the other one was that Hagman report. Operation
Sandman.
Right. Hey, Mike, doesn't it sound like Operation Sandman is taking place right now?
Yeah, Yeah, I've been, dipping dabbling in that. I'm gonna definitely, dive further and then talk about it more on my side as well, because I think it's going to be, important. So appreciate you for reminding me, man.
Yeah, hey, no problem. Yeah, if you can drop that into the queue, also for the guys. But yeah, basically, that video, from what I understood out of it, is that Russia, China, and all the rest of these countries, probably up to like 160 countries or whatever it may be,
yeah,
a day of their choosing are going to pull the plug on the dollar.
Right. So it's already a predetermined date for all this. So yeah, man. Hey, but appreciate you, man.
All right.
Who's next? According to, with the BRICS nations, of course, because they're ultimately activating the BRICS outright. So will it be South Africa? Will it be Brazil or what? So I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on that. But time will tell. But it's something that's occurring, to say the least. And that's the thing. Most of the people are not even aware of it. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's low blood pressure, Corpus Christi, Texas. How you doing today, Mike?
LBP, doing good, man. What's on your mind?
That's it, Mike. The dollar's done. People need to start, all the stackers, we need to start looking at second citizenship, see what moves we're going to make. And because it might not, we might have to rethink our nationality, Mike.
Yeah, that's definitely a different way of looking at it, rethinking our nationality.
Look, Mike, it's going to get to the point where a day's labor is going to be barely enough to keep yourself alive, When things are like that, Mike, it's not even worth showing up to work anymore. The stackers are going to have to build everything back up, and I don't know if I want to build it back up here in America, Mike.
Yeah, and the thing is, will you have the freedom to build it up? Because along with that will come other digital inclusive actions, whether it be your social credit score on top of that, your finances all together, your health records together, and everything about you in one type of database on some blockchain by some entity, which you gotta qualify to be able to participate in society the way things are heading. So living in the woods or living in the jungle somewhere off grid might be the best place for it at time, if that's where the Lord leads you, man. So
not like the guy in Yakima, wherever he's from, the guy that always calls in. You don't gotta go there, but have a plan B. There's some great channels out there that talk about a plan B.
Yeah.
And us stackers, we're gonna have the power to do that. So it's best to start thinking about it now.
Right.
Before, that to be like, oh, what do I do now?
Right. I agree, man. 100%. So we would, as we move forward, as always, I'm open from the community to talk about things like that, just so we can try to cover as much ground as we can. But ultimately, it boils down on your spiritual foundation, because God will definitely direct you where you need to go. So the worst thing to do would be jump out there on your own out of fear and sink a lot faster, rather than just being patient and waiting on the Lord to guide you so you can have a better chance. So but that's my 2 cents, man. But hey, appreciate you, LB.
All right, Mike. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, be good. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike, this is coolest guy in Yashkaba.
The coolest guy. What's going on, man? Give me a quick thought.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead. Give me something quick if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, I'm in Progresso, and yesterday I received my 4-year citizenship to stay in Mexico. So I don't know if you have any questions with that, and I'd be happy to answer. It was a smooth process. The paperwork was filled out. I paid the guy 56 or 5,200 pesos, which is about, I don't know, honey, you know how much it is? Anyway, 5,200 pesos.
Yeah.
And we walked in, and it was over. It was done.
Yeah.
So it was not very complicated.
Interesting. So yeah, I definitely am curious, and so for the sake of time, it'll probably take a lot longer to get the full details, but we'll say that for another day. But definitely, I'm sure people will be interested in finding out that. So we might have to connect off air or connect on air, something like that. Give us a full rundown, man.
Yeah, well, I'll be happy to help if anyone has any questions on moving to Mexico, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, for sure. So you're in a Telegram group too, right? You're in a Telegram group?
Yes, I am.
So yeah, definitely. I encourage you guys to connect there, and you guys can, participate there. Are you on a Discord community as well, or no?
Am I in what?
Are you in the Discord, the RTD Discord page as well?
No, I'm not.
Because if you were, that would be a good way to just connect with people, and people can ask you questions directly from there. So, but we will connect on a different day, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, hey, one thing I wanted to discuss the conversion from the gold to the ruble, and 5,000 rubles for a gram. Mm-hmm. That's significantly less than what the spot price is going for. Right. Now, I reached out to someone, and he told me he thinks that this is going to break the COMEX finally, but it's kind of because the price of Russia is going to be, stated. Mm-hmm. It's 1,000. So this is really interesting. Yeah. What's going on here tomorrow. Right. I mean, it's like so close. I don't know if you have any opinion on that, but it doesn't look like Russia's backing down. They've started to move their oil away from the West. Like shipping, I was looking at the international shipping of oil, and we're perhaps different than it used to be.
Yeah, I know.
Do you have any opinion on this?
So I've mentioned, because it's still early to really get a full understanding of what they're doing, but just the mere fact of Putin talking about making the ruble the primary mechanism, or gold, and then followed by that Bitcoin, is a game changer. Now, by the Russian central bank getting back into the gold market by buying gold and them giving it a price well below the Western spot market, I think that'll somehow, some way, prove out to help those that use that method, because if they can use the ruble or use a discounted gold in a sense to get gas, they'll probably get more bang for their buck at some point, somehow, some way, to where it'll eventually be a no-brainer to use that method, because as I've mentioned from the guy who I interviewed the other day, saying that you really can't default anywhere it go on the on the oil side or the gold side, because it's not necessarily fully redeemable as of yet. So it's basically, they're interoperable with gold and oil because they are being used as money right now for Russia. So it puts Putin in a win-win type of a situation. So I'll dive further as I further understand it. But the fact that gold is mentioned amongst rubles, that's definitely something different, because to my knowledge, no nation has succeeded in trying to pull nothing like this off in the last 50 plus years of the petrodollar system. So we'll see what's up the West sleeve, or this is a part of this transition anyway. So, but hey, we'll see, man.
I hope we can make it till next week without this false flag that could potentially start World War III. Right. And I'm serious when I say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. But hey, I appreciate you calling, man. We'll definitely plug in and connect more, because I'm curious to get some details on that citizenship stuff. So appreciate you.
Thank you. You guys take care.
Be good. Yeah, boy. Okay, well, that is all she wrote for today. Wanted to check in, plug in, share my 2 cents on some things, and more importantly, always be able to point you guys back to just more details as to how things are unfolding with some visual aids. I think these are, good tools to get people to think and try to process stuff. And of course, I'll add more to it. But if anybody's interested in downloading this and sharing it or dissecting it, I'm going to put this in the Telegram and in the Discord. You just click and download it and share it if you guys like. And, basically help more people plug into this type of information, because you don't hearing this, on the mainstream. And so at this point, you can't really trust much you hear, which is what you hear from people who read teleprompters. But anyway, that's all she wrote for today. Be blessed, be safe. And as always, man, I want to make sure you guys know that, Jesus is king, is on the throne. Everything's going to work out fine, regardless of how it might look or feel. We know the long side of things, because despite all this new world order stuff, we have an eternal world order that's at play as well. So just stay prayed up, get your weight up, get your calories up, do everything you can, but ultimately put it in the hands of the Lord. Anyway, people, got to run. Be blessed, be safe. See you guys later. Peace.
The next recession.
Recession will be a recession.
We're going to hit a recession.
The date of the next recession.
A U.S.-only recession typically lasts 8 to 10 months.
A crash is coming. Now, whether it's 6 months from now, 12 months, 36 months, no one knows.
If you have the right plan to set up, you can make a lot of money from this.